Chris White, you have played through Mirror's Edge Catalyst on PS4, have you not?
I have, yes. It's very good.
It's very good. I mean, you've answered the first question because I'm a big fan of the original Mirror's Edge. You played that as well. I don't think you're perhaps as big a fan of the original as I was.
No, no. I mean,
but you enjoyed it, I presume.
Yeah, I mean, the original, it had some good mechanics there with the free running.
Yeah.
It took me at least 2 attempts to try and play through most of it, because the first time I tried it, I just kind of gave up with the free run and just wasn't getting the hang of it. And then I had to go when it was on PS Now or on PS4 and had to go there. Yeah. So I played about 3 hours of the original. But this is, it's kind of taken the best of what was there and made it better. Definitely with the mechanics and the gameplay, like the amount of fun I had with the free one was incredible. Story, not so great, but
so hang on, I want to stop you there because I want to ask about the story. I don't want to put you on the spot too much, but I purposefully tried to stay a little bit blind to this for a couple of reasons. First of all, I really did love that first game, and I was always a bit hesitant when this was finally announced that right, you're getting another one.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of something people had wanted for such a long time, and my concern, like immediately when they announced it and told us what was happening, was that it was open world. I played a tiny bit of the beta, and I played a little bit of EA Access. Well, I played about three at the time of recording 3 hours of the EA Access build, which is the final game essentially. Just and I'm at the point where I'm not 100% sure, because I'm still getting used to stuff. But you've played through the story.
Yes.
So is this actually a sequel, or is it a remake? Because there's bits in the story that make me think it could be either.
So I was just reading up on it actually earlier, and the DICE have said it was a reboot. So they said that they may revisit the original elements of some of the story, but for now they've said it's a reboot. So that's why it kind of feels familiar as well.
Feels like both a sequel and a re. Okay, I mean, this story is important in a game, but I don't really think that. I mean, the one thing I will say straight away that you will be able to, without spoiling. Obviously, we're not going to spoil the game. It's not out yet. I found every character I met was a complete dick. Does that actually improve, or
No,
okay.
the characters are very two-dimensional. There's a guy called there's a guy called Icarus, who's intentionally a dick, and there's nothing to like about him. I mean
an utter arsehole, that guy.
Oh, absolutely. And the kind of other characters, there's one good character which you meet, and she's called Plastic, and that's all I'll say. But I think she's actually quite a good character. But for the rest of them, it's kind of bland a bit. But I mean, that's it's not the best story, but there's a worse out there.
So it really is. I mean, it's the gameplay, it's the world. Is that?
Oh, yeah.
What makes? Because it sounds like you really enjoyed this.
So I mean, the world. Obviously, if you played the original, you'll know that it's very kind of blocky, and there's very limited amount of colours in the palette. There's like your white, your orange, your red, and the blue sky, but it's just such a bright world, and the kind of the elements of movement in it is phenomenal. So like you can unlock the ability to fast travel in the game through different worlds, but I didn't fast travel once, and that's just because I just absolutely love just running through kind of the levels. It's just so fast and frantic, but once you kind of play it a bit more, you work out exactly what to press when and how to get across certain bits, and it's just very fluid, and it's the best element of it, definitely.
I mean, even at the early stage for me, I felt like they were adding things that perhaps I mean, I must admit, I kept intending to play through the original at some point, and time and everything got against me, but I don't remember. For example, there's one ability you can unlock quite early on where you can tuck your knees so that when you are jumping around and stuff, you can keep your speed. I mean, there's a roll which keeps your speed, your momentum going, but there's also like a tuck or something. I think. Yeah. So you jump with the left, or it'll be L1 for you, and then you press L2, I think, and you tuck your legs so you can like jump over rails quicker. Yeah.
So the kind of main thing is to maintain kind of the movement. So throughout the game you can unlock like I think it's 19 or so different abilities. Okay. So one of these abilities, it's to kind of when you jump over a ledge. You could tuck your knees up, and then as you hit the floor, you'll slide slightly, and then carry on moving, as opposed to just kind of stop and then move. So the kind of point of the continual movement is that you have a health bar, so you can unlock additional health points, but you start off with 2 or 3, and then you've got this thing called a focus shield. With you, the more you move, the more that builds, and that extra focus shield just stops any of the enemies from attacking you and ruining your health bar. It kind of gives you a little bit more of a lifeline, so it helps to move, and that focus shield is quite useful. So the more you move and connect movements, that'll stay where it is. It's when you get shot or you stop moving that goes away, disappears.
So it sounds like you feel like they got the movement pretty much spot on then.
I think they
I'm trying to think of games that do it, and really first-person parkour isn't something that happens very often. See, the only one I could think of was Dying Light.
Yeah.
Oh, and Mirror's Edge, obviously, really, you know?
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, Dying Light, that gets the kind of free running, but it doesn't nail it as Mirror's Edge does. But then, on the flip side, the combat to Mirror's Edge Catalyst is a bit ropey. It's not the best.
It didn't feel as fluid.
No, and it's weird. So the kind of thing I don't quite get is you've got like a weak attack or a traversal attack where if you're running, you press the square button, you'll hit someone, knock them over, and continue to move. It doesn't stop your movement. But if you're kind of bogged down with all like 5 or 6 of them, you could use the triangle, which is like a stronger attack. But if you buy a barrier or a ledge, you can press a triangle and the directional button, and you'll kick like a guard over an edge. But sometimes it's dead. The way you do it, it's quite a slow kick, and it's like they don't fall over the ledge very fluidly, and it's not fast. It's very slow, so it doesn't feel realistic.
But then, I mean, is there an argument to be made that you shouldn't? It's not a fighting game. You shouldn't be getting into combat, and if you are, it's kind of there to get you out of it and get you on your way again. Yeah,
I mean, the kind of pop-ups in the game, like between loading screens, does say it's best to avoid combat. So
can you use guns at all? Because I saw a tooltip that basically said even if Faith wanted to use guns, they're biometrically assigned to the enemies essentially, so you can't do it.
Yeah, so
I'm sure you could in the first, but is there any gunplay in here?
No, none at all. You can't pick up a gun. You've literally your main skill is the ability to run away.
But that's good, I think.
Yeah, no, it is, and it kind of adds a different element to it because first person you're used to wielding a weapon of some sort. I mean, the only kind of gadget you have is like a grappling hook, and that's quite useful in time. That helps with the movement as well. Right. So it's kind of like your Uncharted where you fire it and then you'll swing and then you can let go, but it's also used for other things which I'm not going to say. But there's a lot of unlocks for that, which also the unlocks as well and what you unlock throughout the story, they kind of get brought in at the relevant time. They're very well paced out with all the kind of movements and all the upgrades to your gear and stuff. It just works very well. So yeah.
So the city itself, then, because again I've not seen the whole story. Is it how there was talk about it's an open world, blah blah blah. How open is it? How big is it? Like really?
So there's a good chance you will go through the same part of the city 50 to 100 times. It's relatively. It's not GTA big, nowhere near. It's it is open world because there is more than one path to get to where you want to go, but it's not open world in the sense of, as I say, GTA. You can't go absolutely everywhere, and there are limits to how to get to certain places. You do have to go through certain areas to get to another area, but there are shortcuts here and there. So it is quite different as well. There are like different kind of areas with there's an area with like different coloured buildings and different kind of fauna and stuff like that, and it's quite varied. I mean, it's all very white, very kind of clean.
Yes, I was going to ask, generally, visually, in general, how does it look? Do you think?
So it looks nice. It's not the best looking game, but it doesn't need to be. It's just a very like the cleanliness of the city represents the kind of there's elements of the story that why it makes sense, why it's so clean and white and like that. And I mean, there's a lot of billboards. It looks a lot like kind of Blade Runner with the kind of big advertisement billboards and stuff. And
it's a futuristic dystopian future thing.
Yes, yeah.
It's pretty stereotypical, I suppose.
Very stereotypical, yeah. And that's the kind of story plays into the typical stereotypes of that kind of thing. But as I say about the story, it's not the worst thing about it. I mean, it's just a very good, fun game. And as I say, I haven't fast travelled once because I just enjoy the kind of movement so much.
Well, that's great to hear. I suppose there are a couple of things I should ask you. Side missions, what I played, seemed mostly involved around basically getting from point A to B quicker, and there was different wrapping for them, but generally speaking, it was that. Is that fair to say? I mean, I know there's like you can jump on drones and stuff, and
no, you do a lot of kind of go there, press this button, go there, press this button, collect this thing. It's a lot of travelling, but then that's kind of what the game's about, and the kind of you've got your side missions are very similar. They're not part of the main story, but they do kind of tell a little story within the world. And then there are things like they're called dashes, which are just like race from getting to point A to B in the fastest time, which you can look at fellow players around the world to compete against, that kind of thing. So I mean,
because you can create your own races, can't you? Like, but it's got UGC, user generated content. That's the phrase, isn't it?
Yeah.
You can create your own little courses, I suppose. And,
I mean, there's they call it social playing. Like that's what I'm gonna try out before I write the review, just because I want to make sure like I have a play with it. But yeah, you can create your own time trials for other gamers and your friends, which is quite cool. And there's no real restrictions other than you can't set them in the story places. Like there's certain buildings you only go to in the story, so you can't set them up in there. But throughout the city you can set them up. I'm assuming for as long as you want, short as you want. But there's other bits and pieces where you can tag certain areas for kind of players to explore. As that's part of the kind of user generated content as well. So
I mean, it sounds very much like they have modernised Mirror's Edge. It's got your open world, it's got your collectibles, it's got your your high def visuals or whatever whatever we call it now. Just your modern. It's a modern video game, but it sounds like one that you've rather enjoyed playing through.
I love playing it. It's very kind of addictive, and the kind of difference for me is between kind of Mirror's Edge and Mirror's Edge Catalyst is the difference between kind of like Portal and Portal 2. It's very much the same, but the improvements kind of do a great deal in making it kind of like a better game for me. So yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Well, that's terrific news to hear. I'm sure anyone who was hopeful for a new Mirror's Edge is glad to hear it too. Other than that, obviously, you can read Chris's full thoughts over on GodisaGeek.com, and you get a Patreon.com/GodisaGeek if you like what you do and we do rather and want to support us. You can follow Chris at
First Avenger 83.
Wonderful. And obviously at GodisaGeek. And thank you very much, Chris, for your time.
No worries, thank you.
And we'll see you later. Bye bye.
Should have backed the GodisaGeek Patreon.